everybody, coming at you from out in the wilderness. And we have on the camera,
Heyo.
we have Nick behind the camera, good trusty Nick. I love it when he comes to film because it makes it so much easier on me. So, and you enjoy it too, don't you?
Yeah, especially if we're actually, cooking. But
Yeah, but this one we ain't cooking. This one, sometimes I get requests for certain videos. And I got a request in my last video when I did the story of the Green Beret axe. I got a request on there for about how to avoid Widowmakers and how to understand Widowmakers, how to look for them, how to see them. Now, for those of you that don't know what a Widowmaker is, I would assume most of you watching this channel would, but what Widowmakers are branches, dead branches or dead trees, to where the tree tops will break off and fall on you, or the branches will fall on you, or the entire tree will fall on you. And they're called Widowmakers because you won't go home to your spouse from a camp trip. And it's a pretty serious thing. So there's no direct science behind it because anything could happen when you're in the woods. Nature is in charge. But there's some things over the years that I have learned to look for. And then there's some ways of setting up a shelter in really high winds and bad weather and in areas where you feel uncomfortable. And so, I mean, they're kind of weird, radical techniques, some of them, but I think they're effective. So what we're going to do first is we're going to try to look at some trees and talk about some trees. All right?
like that one directly behind you.
Yeah, the one directly.
We didn't plan that. It just happened to be there.
Oh, yeah.
It's got no bark on it. It's tall. It's slightly leaning at the top.
Exactly. That is one of the things that is great. Can you get it good from right there, Nick, or do we need to? Okay, now.
Seriously, we didn't plan that. We're just sitting here opening, and it's there.
We thought it was cool to be by the stream. Now, a normal tree, okay, a normal healthy tree has bark, okay? This tree right here, it has the branches, and then it has all these secondary branches coming off. And then it has all these little things right here, all these little small branches that are going to produce blooms. A lot of times, now see how this one has nothing out on the end? That's one way of telling that that thing is dead. See how that just broke right off?
Yeah.
Now see this branch? It's flexible, it's still alive. It's got all these little bitty things on them. And see this end right here, it had kind of a stub on the end and the bark's coming off. Now this is a tiny, tiny branch, but this is what you're looking for in some of the bigger trees, and we're going to try to find an example if we can, because these big giant ones like this that are stubby without the little twigs hanging off them, that's what will fall and kill you. And that tree that Nick noticed is a good example because some of the secondary branches coming off of it over there are dead and have no bark, and they don't have the little twigs where the blooms are going to grow on them. So let's look for a couple more over here to see if we can find some. All right. Now, another thing that I forgot to mention was the simple fact that the easiest way during the summer is to look for the greenery. If a tree is covered in green leaves, if there's foliage on it, then it's a good healthy tree. Now, evergreens, these are great because when you're around evergreens and pine trees, they're generally green year-round if they're healthy. Now, hardwoods and oaks and hickories and all that, they lose all their leaves during the winter. So that's when you got to really pay attention. Now, that is a good example right there of a typical Widowmaker. Okay, this thing, the bark is falling off of it, and all the branches have broken off the top, or the entire top has broken off. Now, if you're going to look right here,
which you can see laying over there on the ground.
Where is it?
The top's laying over there.
Is it over here?
Move to the left. Yeah, it's over there.
Oh, right over there. Yeah, okay.
Oh, there's two different ones. He's looking at one over there. I'm looking at this over here on the ground. And another.
I think it's this one. Now, could you imagine this landing on your tent or your sleeping bag? That thing broke off the top of that. I'm almost certain. And see, this is the kind of stuff you want to look out for. Now, there's another thing is that you don't want to be, like I said, you're looking for the missing bark and the missing limbs. Some healthy trees can have 1 or 2 dead limbs, and that's what you want to look for. Now, if you look at that tree right there, I want you to shoot all the way to the top of it. You see up there? See all the limbs? Right here. Shoot all the way to the top of this, Nick, and you can see the green up there. See if you can zoom in. See up there?
Yeah.
Now that's a healthy tree.
There we go.
Yeah, you can see the greenery.
Even in the winter.
Alright. And then sometimes it's just as simple as looking up. Look right over here. Check that out. That tree split. Look at it.
Oh yeah.
That thing's ready to fall.
Came from that one right there.
Yeah, it did.
It's laying over there. Yeah, that's your perfect Widowmaker. It's just hanging by live tree limbs.
Exactly. And the tree it's leaning against doesn't look very healthy either. But then again, that may be a trick. It may be because it's winter time. So let's try to pick out a couple of more. I want to pick more. I want to see if I can find a large tree that's got like 1 dead limb. That's a good example of it instead of the entire tree being dead. All right, so let's go further, and then we're going to set up show you a couple of shelters that you can set up. All right, now I found a pretty good example. Okay, I'm going to kind of depend on you to use your fingers in front of the camera to point, Nick. But if you look up there, aim it up to the top of that tree right there. Now you can see the greenery. See
up
where?
There.
Yeah, well you've got all those secondary branches coming off that main branch going to the right. Well, look over to the left, and you'll see the tips are broken off, and there's no little stubbies coming off, no little twigs, no place for sprouts, no greenery. Those are dead. Now sometimes those can be a lot bigger and they can fall. Now what you want to look for is if the top of the tree looks completely like that, then the entire top can fall on you, and that is a no-no. And the thing is the entire top of a tree can kill you, because not far from here there's a place called Red Top Mountain State Park, and there was a family that was camping there, and there was a 15-year-old girl that was in a hammock, and they didn't know that the tree they tied to was unhealthy, and the top of the tree fell off and landed on her, actually killed her. It was a 15-year-old girl, and so that's horrible. You don't want that to happen. So one thing else that I noticed right here is if you set up a campsite underneath some of these big trees like this right here, those are Widowmakers, okay? So if you can avoid large trees camping near them, that's one thing. And if you can find a bunch of shrubbery, now swing that camera right around here and see if you can see inside here. You see this inside here? Can you come a little closer to me?
Yeah.
See if you can just come a little bit
See if I can.
without having a bunch of branches in the water. Is that branch in the water?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Let me just lower it.
Yeah, lower it down a little bit so you can see inside. Now, if you can hear me, if you can still hear me from here, there's a nice clear area right here. All right? And you've got all this small stuff in here. If you'll see back in there, there's a cleared out spot, and there's nothing in there but small trees. And if by chance a tree did fall, I guarantee it's going to land on top of all that shrubbery. So in high winds, that is the place to camp. All right, now see, this is just a paradise for high winds. I don't care how high the winds are blowing. I don't care if the trees are rocking. This is a safe area to camp. You can just clear out a nice little spot in here, and you've got all this shrubbery right here and all this greenery overhead. It would be almost impossible for a limb to make it through all this stuff. So the more of nature you've got overhead protecting you, the better off you are. Okay? So now let's get to the unusual idea that I have that I've shown a couple of times in the past, but for some of my newer viewers and for people that are interested in Widowmakers, I'm going to explain a little more in detail the ins and outs of it. All right. So let's go find a clear area we can set it up in.
All right.
This is an ideal spot. Okay. Even though there's pine trees broken off everywhere, just look, scan from there to there, Nick. You can see how this place is just littered with pine trees. Okay. But the cool thing about pine trees is you can look up and see they're going to be green basically year round. And so what I'm doing is I'm standing here and I see 6 trees and they've all got pine needles on them. Okay, so here's old Dave's method for doing this. Now what we're going to do, we'll show you, what we're going to do is we're going to weave a rope barrier. Alright. Now, this is 50 feet of rope. What I use is 3/8 Rothko camo rope. All right. Now, this weighs 2 pounds. Okay. So, 4 pounds of protection. Now, the way I look at it, if you're an ultralight backpacker, you're going to boo-hoo and cry and say, "Oh, I don't want to carry the weight." All right. Here's the thing: if you're an ultralight backpacker, you're going to be going on established trails where they look for widowmakers and they clear them, and there's Adirondack shelters and there's places to set up, and they keep those places clear. If you're a bushwhacking bushcrafter camper, you're going to be going out in the woods somewhere where nobody's looking for widowmakers and nobody's clearing them out. So if you're tough enough to go out in inclement weather, you're tough enough to carry a little bit of rope. So let's show you how this thing's done right here.
And I just want to point out something I just noticed.
What's that?
There's a pine tree over there that's dead,
Yeah.
but it's all got almost all its bark still left on it. See if you can. See, I'm zoomed in on it right here. You can see it's just got that little bit of bark missing. But if you look up, there it is.
Yeah.
Top's missing. It's dead.
Yep. You got a good eye.
But it's got most of its bark still.
You got a good eye. Alright, so what we're going to do here is we're going to tie this off. Just like this.
So I guess be a little wary of pine trees. They might still have their bark even if they're dead.
Oh yeah. And see, not necessarily pine trees, you know, but to me it's like some of these smaller trees, if the tops come off, they won't get past the rope area. I mean, there's a possibility. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to stretch this around just like this. You're going to go to another tree. Stretch this around. Now if you'll notice, I'm not making a complete loop around the tree, and I'm going to explain why in just a minute. There is a reason for that. There's
Going to be cheap with your rope?
No, there's an actual science behind that, and the reason for it.
Shouldn't you go over the little stubby hanging off the tree?
Nah, not really. I don't think. Why, do you think I should?
I don't know. I mean, if you're trying to catch a tree limb falling on you, that might help keep the rope up.
Well, that's going to be part of the reasoning. All right, now we're going to cross over right here. Now this may take a while to weed this thing.
So we hope you enjoy this 30 minutes of tying a rope around trees.
Well, we may have to cut it off and get back to it here in a minute.
Yeah.
Let's see. But I'm trying to make a point here. That once I got one layer of it done. All right, now this is where it gets kind of tricky. Where you have to start climbing over. And as you layer, don't go under. Make sure your layers are all on top of each other. All right. And don't tie off to the other ropes. Don't wrap around these. Only wrap around the trees, and I'll explain why here in a minute. let's say you got whatever. You got a tent under there, maybe you got a bivy sack, but you're going to lay under there. Now, here's the thing. I took 50 feet of rope and I weaved this maze of rope here. I got another 50 feet, and if I was for real going to spend the night here in high wind, I would come up a foot and I would put the other maze of rope. All right? Now here's the thing.
It doesn't look like it'll protect you much.
Well, we're going to find out. I'm going to show you something. Now,
It didn't protect me.
Little sticks.
I'm dead. A tree hit me.
Little sticks like that, it's not going to protect you from, but they're not going to kill you. Now, here's the thing about this, okay? This rope, everything, Nick, you got to follow me. You weren't following me.
Let's look for something bigger to throw.
Okay, well, I'm fixing to. Let's look at it right here. Everything has to give, okay? Things that are rigid break, okay? So if you had this thing wrapped round and round and round real tight, if something heavy landed on it, that rope might break. Okay, you don't want that. That's why you just go around the tree. Because in some of my experiments in the past, we actually brought a ladder out in the woods and dropped branches on this. And when it was wrapped around, the rope broke. But if it's not wrapped, it's just going around it, this will actually rip some of the bark off and slide. All right? So, let's take this.
Speaking of Thanksgiving, in the last scene I mentioned some of those smaller pine trees nearby that were dead but just had most of their bark left. I tried shoving a smaller one and it's actually still very stiff. So I don't know if those are really...
Well,
I don't know. I guess maybe if they still have some bark on them, they won't break.
It's like I said, there's no science behind it. You just have to guess that, no, this is the tree I don't want to stay under.
I mean, I shoved and pulled on a smaller one, even than the one I showed, and it didn't give at all.
Let's
So,
see. Let me
I
get
think
some of
they're
this.
still
Are
pretty
they
good.
dead? Oh, yep, they are dead. This whole tree's dead. Those branches
Where you
are
at?
dead. Hey, look at that.
What?
Look at that. Look.
Oh,
That thing actually caught it.
congratulations.
Yeah. Congratulations. Now,
Well, you see, this stick right here just decided it was small enough to fall on me, and
what
I'm
do
dead.
you know, Nick? It
I'm
worked.
dead.
You lose. Okay, now remember.
No, that's just where I threw it. If it falls straight down through the rope,
Yeah,
then
that's bad. But anyway, here's the thing. I mean, this is better than nothing. I mean, you want to lay on the ground with a chance of a tree falling on you and high winds? And March is the time for high winds. Now,
why don't you add a bug net around it?
yes, you can add a bug net, of course. Matter of fact, you can use this rope's here to hold up your bug net. You know, double use. And you can also use this rope for hanging lights, or you can even lay your tarp over it. So let's look at this right here a minute. Okay, you ready? There you go. See that? Now I'm going to try to throw it up in the air even more.
If you break your camera, this is on you.
There you go. Look at that. Now, the rope didn't even move, but the rope gave, okay? So, let me try something else. Okay, here's the other thing right here now. This is another added bonus to it right here. Is you can take your cover or poncho or whatever, so you can lay it over the top like that. See? Oh, you want me to drop that one on?
I'm gonna try it.
All right. Well, hold on. Let me get the camera thing.
This won't work. It's all rotted.
Yeah, but how heavy is it? Very. I don't want to mess my tarp up, so I'm gonna take it off. But anyway, you could tie this thing off here as part of your roof. Hold on, let me get behind the camera. All right, throw it up in the air.
Yes, this is why it's called fun in the woods, because we're just throwing logs at things.
And there you go. See?
I'm dead. It fell through.
No, but it didn't like the edge of it fell through, Nick. Now, remember what I said? You can put an extra layer of rope across the top.
It's holding up, though.
Yeah, it's holding up. See?
Okay.
Are you a believer, Nick?
Yeah.
All
It'll be
right.
covered in sawdust, though, when it lands on it.
Oh, yeah, of course it will. But it'll stop it from killing you.
See that? Now I got him playing with a log.
This is fun, ain't it? Okay, now this log is twice as heavy as the one I first used. This is the one Nick was throwing around.
Who'd have thought throwing logs at rope was fun?
I know. So this is going to be the last one, and then we're going to move on to some other things.
That's my log. You got to find your own.
All right. You ready? See how high up we can do it. Can you get that, or do you need to be back further?
I can see it.
All right, ready?
Oh.
I see that even broke.
You see that? It hit the head part. It hit the headrest. You're dead.
Luckily the head's at the other
You're
end.
dead. It hit it. You're dead.
Wait a minute now.
If the head's at the other half, all right, you just sprained your ankle.
A good heavy. This is
You're dead. You can't get out of the woods.
This is a Plash Palatka. If you were to tie it right there and then put more rope on top, nothing would get through. So
I think as long as you,
that is bad, it breaking in half. But
I think
like
you tie
said,
something else up there, you're probably fine.
oh,
Like
yeah.
that.
I'm not. We're just going to take it down. I'm not going to do it. But exactly what you see here, you come up another foot and weave another one.
Yeah.
And another thing you can do, you can use a cargo net that goes over a bed, a truck bed. The only problem with that is it's not as springy as rope. Okay. Now, take your backpack off and hand it here, Nick. I want to show you something else while we're at it. Here, aim it down here. I want to show you. Now, Nick is more of a minimalist. He likes to travel light and fast. So there's a couple of things in here. And Nick's always, the reason a lot of times I'm setting up these crazy shelters and doing them is because I'm sleeping in the weird shelters and Nick is a hammock kind of guy. Okay? So he's got a hammock, okay, with the straps and the extensions. Now they also make, for Nick's rope barrier, look, they also make a 1/4-inch rope. All right?
I've seen scorpions around here. I'd rather not take my chances.
Yeah, but you're not gonna, with a hammock, you're not gonna, scorpion ain't gonna get to you. But anyway, they do make a smaller rope, and you can weave. Once you set the hammock up, you can weave between the trees. And I think in a previous video years ago that not many people paid attention to, you can literally weave a 3-foot tall rope barrier above your hammock, and not much is going to get through it. Now, if you really want to go minimalist, and I haven't tested this yet, if you don't want to use rope, you can also use this stuff called Mule Tape. Okay. Now, this Mule Tape says 1,250 pounds. All right. So that stuff, you could bring a bunch of it and it wouldn't weigh nothing, and you could weave a barrier overhead. All right. And then this right here, everybody's heard of 550-7 paracord, 550 pounds of strength. Well, this has 11 inner strands, 750 pounds. Now this could be an even greater option, but I don't know. They say that this is a static line, that it doesn't give, it'll break, but maybe, I don't know, maybe if you didn't stretch it tight, if you left it a little loose, maybe it would bounce. I don't know. I haven't tested that, but that may be an option. Rope, I've tested. The polyurethane and polyethylene rope.
Yeah, we just tested it. We threw a tree on it.
Yeah, sure did. Now, 2 rope barriers will really make it bounce. So, all right, one more little thing I'm going to talk about. I'm probably going to do a really lousy job of setting it up, but I'm going to set it up just to show you. For those of you that don't want to carry a rope and you just want to walk around in nature and use what nature has. The thing you can do is you can find a very, very large tree that has fallen, and I'm not even going to film a big large tree because there's going to be people complaining saying, oh, you'll get crushed. So maybe find a smaller tree like this and you can just set your bivy sack directly under it. Now, the other thing you can do, which I'm not going to do because we're just making a video, is you can saw a bunch of green logs, okay? Now, these are rotten logs, but like I said, I'm not sawing, I'm not killing a bunch of trees just for a video. If you can take some good logs, and you can put them like that, just like that. Because green logs won't break. And then you can take your tarp and lay the tarp right on top. See, that is another good way of staying safe. And so what you do here is you'll tie off. You're going to tie off with that end. The upper end you'll tie off the eyelets to the tree, and then that end you're going to stake off with stakes. And you can tie these logs to this tree. That way, if anything falls, hopefully what's going to happen, and the tree that you, another thing, the tree that you look for is going to be a living tree that's fallen over, because it'll give instead of breaking. Okay? So that's another idea, and you'll just sleep right, put your bivy sack right under there. Now this is a small version. You'll need much bigger area. But like I said, this is just an example on video. All right? So we got one more thing I'm going to show you over here it's not a great example, but it'll give you an idea of what else to look for. All right? Now, here's another good example right here. Always remember what I said about something's got to give. Dead, hard trees, like if you're looking at that pile right there, those are the kind of things that they're going to break if anything lands on them. But what you want to do is, if you can find some trees growing like this, and I know you've seen them before, and if they're not dead, especially if they've got greenery on the end of them, if they'll give like that, that's great. So let's say, for example, you've got this tree. Okay, there's another one over here. So what you're going to do is pull this over, and you're going to tie these up right here. Right? Now, could you imagine?
You got a third one there for some extra support too.
Where at?
You're on it.
On it?
There's a third tree.
Dead, I think.
No, there's a third tree bent over right in front of you.
See it. Yeah, the little one. Yeah, if you could bend it over this way.
No, I mean, oh god, hey, right in front of you.
That here. Oh yeah, they're sitting on them. That's what I was talking about. I didn't know it was already in my hand. Yeah, right here at this intersection, you could take these three right here, and then you could tie these things up. And see, then what you can do is you can put your bivy sack or your tent underneath here. And then if you wanted to, you've got other trees. You can even put a rope barrier above this. So if anything made it through the rope barrier, it would land on this stuff.
Are you having fun?
And see, there's, huh?
Are you having fun over there?
Oh yeah, I'm having fun. This has been a fun video. So anyway, those are the things that you want to look for right there. Stuff that's curved like that. Use the nature type stuff. Get under anything that you can. A lot of people, they look for clearings, and sometimes clearings ain't always the way to go. So look at the trees, look at the branches, look at the bark, look for the greenery. Just look up, use rope, bring rope with you. Just look for all these things, and look for things in nature that are springy. Now, as a matter of fact, see that tree right over there? That tree is about 1 foot off the ground. If you could find 2 of those and lay in between them, you're not more than 1 foot tall. So you could lay in between those trees, and it could be a safe thing, because it would have to hit you dead center right between the trees to get you. So this is all just stuff to think about. Any comments, put them in the comment section. Hope you learned something. Hope you had fun. And I guess, you want to add anything, Nick?
Nope, I think I've probably said way too much already.
No, you didn't. You're good. So hope you enjoyed it, and we shall see you in the next one.
See you later.